bags, because they always double bag them when I go to the supermarket, and I place them inside my trash container in the back. They easily lift out. They don't break. I think this is too restrictive. I mean, we're going to be leaving garbage behind at a lot of houses if we just restrict it to plastic bags. I don't like plastic bags because they don't biodegrade. I don't think they're environmentally sound. It's true. So when they ask me paper or plastic, I always say paper.
I think the issue is that if they go and dump it and then some of it falls on the street or near a storm drain, that becomes the issue. I mean, I can have Chris come.
They roll the big cans. The big cans that they have them on rollers. They roll them up the driveway. They carry them. So when they dump my trash can into their trash can, it's all mixed. It doesn't matter whether it's in a plastic bag or not. So it's only falling on the street if
when they then empty it from the big.
And the bigger issue I have is that they stack garbage at the curb for hours on end, which I know they're not supposed to do, in the middle of the block, and then they come back and get it later. So, I mean, that's another issue to address but I'm not comfortable with this, the way it's written.
How do other people feel?
Well, I'll get on the whole recycle thing because I think people should recycle more, but I'm trying to think of, I use plastic bags myself, but I'm trying to think of what my neighbors use, and I can't even really recall. I think that they pile the bags sometimes on my street, and I'll see them piled, and then they come down with the truck. So they're not in, and I know what you're talking about, the orange wheelie thing. Not always in that. Sometimes they're just piled until the truck comes down. So yours, the way you do it would be
in a brown paper bag.
In a brown paper bag.
So what do you think of this? Do you support it? Do you?
I'm not sure. I don't know what everybody uses for trash bags. I don't know what the general population uses.
Right. Do you have any thoughts?
It seems to me the plastic has to be used, much as it would be good to encourage the paper. But, I would defer to the people who deal with it every day, and if they prefer that it be plastic, I would go with their requests, because the paper just may be too hard to handle. It falls apart when it's wet, and trash ends up everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say some kind of closable bag. It has to be closable. I hate to make it. I don't like plastic either, but for feasibility purposes, I understand what they're talking about. It has to be a sealable bag.
Let me ask this or suggest this, Heather, because I'm inclined to, plastic bags. As I told you, I thought everybody had to do
Me
that
too.
anyway.
I did too.
But because Tom does have strong feelings on it, is there a time sensitivity to this, or can we maybe Chris or somebody come in and talk to us a little bit about it? And give us a sense?
We can wait till January and have Chris come in.
That's not a problem. I mean, there's no time sensitivity.
No, you know what? It's only for the safety and the environmental issues, but I think we could push it to January and have Chris come in and talk to it, maybe even John Spano, because he'll be back then.
And if they feel very strongly, again, that this has to move quicker, maybe we can get them in here next week or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just one thing further on this. I mean, the basis of this memorandum here is to address the issue of what he calls sharps, things that are protrude through. So that's really the basis of what he's asking for here, is that there's an issue.
Well, it's both. It's both, actually.
There's an issue with sharps.
That's the beginning. The second paragraph deals with picked up as environmental problems when the trash is collected and the bag fails or it releases waste.
Right, but I think he's saying that's as a result of sharps being inside the bags.
No. He's
Well, that's the way I'm reading it.
also saying, because like I said, I was shocked when I was told that, or surprised, I should say, when I was told that, trash cans from the home are just put into the outside garbage cans with nothing. Now, I understand you're using paper, but there are some people who merely take it and dump it into their garbage cans outside with no paper, no plastic, nothing.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're almost suggesting paper, because he said the bag fails. Maybe he's suggesting that they get wet and maybe...
Yes, correct, or it gets, it has...
I mean, this is a major sea change for the way garbage has been picked up in Ridgewood for a long, long time, so I wouldn't suggest that we...
I'd be interested to get the sense of the magnitude. Again, I think most people probably thought, that's just a guess, but... Anyway, if we can, if you can come in here...
We'll have someone come in and speak in January, that's fine.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. The next one is what we discussed probably back in June maybe, is about the Ridgewood Public Schools and also the Valley Hospital asking that we do the no smoking in their areas. And this way, they can ask people to refrain from smoking.
Right. Yeah, so I've had conversations with both Superintendent Dan Fishbein as well as Audrey Myers, Valley Hospital. Both of them would like, us to sort of extend, I don't know if that's the right word, our smoking ban in parks to the sidewalks. I mean, from Dr. Fishbein's perspective, it's the sidewalks alongside all of the schools. And he would also like to include the sidewalk around Valley Hospital because a lot of his BF students walk along there. And so this is a request, I guess, from both of them, but more so from Dr. Fishbein and the Board of Ed, that we just make it so you can't smoke on the sidewalks adjacent to any of the public schools and Valley Hospital. Any questions or thoughts? Or
I'll comment on it, only because I'm the recipient of all the cigarette butts from Valley's employees that come onto my street. We're pushing them onto the other streets. They banned smoking on their campus, so everybody stands in front of Valley Hospital. If they weren't allowed there, then they're just going to go to Meadowbrook or Bogart or Fairfield. They walk the perimeter, so they're going to be smoking and throwing their butts.
Sure. The essential concern, though, like with our ordinance, was children's safety. And so it's the health and safety of children. So while it might be pushed and that might be a problem and an issue to deal with, it's looking at the route. It's looking right in front of the schools. Smoking is not allowed on any of the school premises.
Correct.
He's saying just extend it to the sidewalks adjacent.
Well, the kids walk on every street, so they're still going to see people smoking. It's not like they're not going to see them.
Right, you could say that at the parks, people walk. Right. So you draw lines.
I think you're never. There's never going to be an easy. The schools. I don't think you see any teachers outside smoking. I think that was an issue many years ago where students of legal age were smoking on Beverly, and that was technically school ground because they were on the grass there, but I would guarantee that you're going to get pushback from a lot of the residents that you're basically just pushing. I mean, perhaps there is no smoking on the school grounds, but they specifically are smoking in front of Valley now because Valley has a no smoking campus.
So you do not support this
I'm
request?
not supporting it, no.
I support it for the sidewalks adjacent to the schools, not Valley Hospital for the reasons cited. But on Van Deen Avenue, I guess that means there'll be two rules, one in front of BF, where there's no smoking along that sidewalk, but the sidewalks on Van Deen. Because I think there's so many staff members of the hospital, you see them smoking, and you're just going to cross the street, go down Meadowbrook, and I think that's a valid concern. But the sidewalks around the school, sure, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I opposed this the last time. If the superintendent of schools should have had a conversation with Valley Hospital and asked them to move their no smoking zone just inside their row of hedges or trees right onto the parking lot there, and that would eliminate the sidewalk problem with the students walking by. My other concern is that I think right on Ridgewood Avenue, right in front of the high school, is a public bus stop. So you got a public bus stop there. It's not even about kids. You got people in a bus stop now that the police cars are going to see somebody waiting for a. And Matt, I'm not sure that this is even legal.
How are you going to enforce it?
I don't know how do you enforce it. And that's going to be the other issue. Is somebody sitting in a bus stop on Ridgewood Avenue waiting for a bus, and the police car's going to go by and give them a ticket.
Is by the high school?
It's by the high school there.
Yeah, there's a bus stop.
So.
So you oppose it on both?
I just oppose this whole thing. Yeah, I just think it's opening up a can of worms that we can't enforce. Glenn?
I like the idea, but I suggest we have the guys from GASP come talk about how it works in the realm of the school properties, because there's an expert just on that area alone, so we can talk about. Okay. It'll take 3 minutes.
Okay, so what we do is, and my view is I support the whole proposal, but if we end up just with schools, I'd be fine with that. But why don't we, to Gwen's point, you can arrange that. You're the GASP person?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can have them come to a meeting. We'll let Dr. Fishbein and Audrey Myers know, and if they want to participate in that discussion also, they can.
Okay.
But and then we'll see what we go from
Okay,
there.
so we'll schedule it for January, one of the January meetings.
Okay.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
okay.
Is that it? Now, a review of the agenda.
Right. We have one proclamation for drive sober or get pulled over. We have introduction of ordinances. We're actually not doing that one, but it's listed, but we're doing stop signs in various locations. We have public hearing on the white collar salary ordinance, the blue collar salary ordinance, parking restrictions on Kema Road, and amending and supplementing regulations for flags and flag poles. We have the resolutions approving the village cash management plan, approved participation in West Bergen Mental Health Care Employee Assistance Program. That's an annual resolution by giving our donation that we give to West Bergen is actually free of charge to our employees for the Employee Assistance Program. We have authorizing agreement for CDL drug and alcohol counseling, which again is an annual resolution. We designate the official newspapers for 2014, the 2014 annual meeting statement, establishing the interest rate for non-payment of taxes, assessments, as well as for water utility payments, increasing deferred school taxes, awarding professional services contract for the village auditor, awarding contract for preparation of council meeting minutes and also zoning board of adjustment meeting minutes, awarding contract for water billing and data collection processing services, awarding contract for the Maple Park turf cleaning. We will get more information on that and see what we can get from Tim. Award contract line stop and valve insertion services for Ridgewood Water, awarding contract under state contract police rifles. Again, we need more information from the chief on that one. Awarding contract Valley Hospital Department of Community Health for public health and nursing services. Awarding contract under state contract for a truck for the street department. Awarding extraordinary unspecifiable service for sanitary sewer manhole repair on Franklin Avenue. Approving change order for the additional software for the SCADA upgrade. Approving the change order for the concrete color tinting and also the sloping on the grading pool sloped entry. Authorizing shared services agreement for municipal court teleconferencing. This is an annual agreement. We do this with Northwest Bergen Shared Services, and they use it as needed. Authorizing shared services agreement for inspection of septic systems for Northwest Regional Health Commission. We have a couple of septic systems still in Ridgewood. It's $50 an hour, and it doesn't exceed $500 in the entire year. Authorizing shared services for the TV inspection of sanitary sewer system, and that's with Northwest Bergen County Utilities Authority. This is the second year of a 2-year contract with them. We authorize the application for the NJDOT paving grant for North Van Deen Avenue, accepting the 2012 annual audit report and accepting the corrective action plan for the 2012 annual audit. Canceling the balance of the 2011 Municipal Alliance Grant, approve the budget transfers, approve 2014 temporary budget, authorize agreement with local health agencies. Actually, the next one we don't need to do. Approving the major soil moving permit for the Route 17 borough pools, Poolsboro, whatever, I'm sorry, location. Appoint Joint Insurance Fund Commissioner. Again, this is annual. Appoint Public Agency Compliance Officer annual. And then we actually finally got both of the liquor license, tax clearance certificates, so we can do the transfers for these 2 liquor licenses. In addition, we have to approve the Eagle Scout project, approve the application for the Municipal Alliance Grant. We're going to do a resolution to refer the shade tree to the planning board. I know we were talking about shade tree and we were talking about what's going to the planning board.
It's the land use piece of it.
Land use.
Land use piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just do that by resolution. send it
Well,
over
just to
for review.
refer it, okay, so that's
Yeah.
what piece of shade tree ordinance. And then, that's it. And then I'm also going to add on, though, the Financial Advisory Committee discussion at the end. And I just need to know if you want anything off of the consent agenda.
Nope.
Okay.
We're consensual. All right, thank you. Managers report.
Yeah. Hold on one
Please.
second. Yeah, I'll find it in a second. The Police Honor Guard and support for the Honorary Chief Mike Feeney Wake Funeral. I want to thank Ridgewood's Police Department and officers from other departments who attended both the wake and the funeral for Michael. He was a special young man, and his story of optimism, courage, and leadership has touched people across the nation and around the world. We've actually received, and the police department has received, emails from people from all over the country and all over the world. In addition, I want to remind everyone the Chamber of Commerce's downtown for the holidays is this Friday, December 6th, from 5:30 to 9 p.m. East Ridgewood Avenue will be closed to vehicular traffic. There'll be holiday music and entertainment. In the park, Santa will be available in his house, and there'll be a kids' court for arts and crafts. The tree lighting celebration will be from 7 to 8 p.m. Approximate tree lighting time is 7:30. Santa will continue to be in his house in the park for the next 3 Saturdays, December 7th, 14th, and 21st, from 2 to 4 p.m. Winterfest, which is sponsored by the Ridgewood Guild, will take place Saturday, December 7th and 14th from 12 noon to 3. There'll be a horse-drawn wagon who will pick up passengers on South Walnut Street. Musicians and choral groups will perform on the stairs of Memorial Park at Van Ness Square. And ice sculptures will be displayed, and complimentary hot chocolate, coffee, and cookies and candy canes will be available. As far as leaves are concerned, we've experienced a heavy fall of leaves just before Thanksgiving, which slowed leaf collection efforts. Staff has been working extra hours to catch up. Today, they started in Area B and should be in Area C by Monday. The next passes in areas D, A, B, and C will be one final cleanup cycle. So if they've already come through your area, make sure to get your leaves out, any leaves remaining out, because there will be one last pass probably in the next week to 10 days, and that'll be it. We'll have an actual deadline that you can't put them out anymore by next week. The last 2 more things. Social Service Association, they had a Thanksgiving collection here in Village Hall for 3 days last week. The volunteers received deliveries from over 30 locations. They organized the food and assembled them into food baskets, and it included turkeys, and it went to 90 families for Thanksgiving, and 587 people benefited from their efforts. So we want to thank Social Services for doing that. There is a new business in town, Fancy Nails, located at 27 Godwin Avenue. That's
Great, thanks so much, Heather. Move on to council reports. Start with Bernie.
I don't have anything.
We'll start with Albert.
Just very briefly, the Ridgewood Arts Council is sponsoring a pop-up poetry session this Saturday. It will start at Saturday, December 7th, starting at 12 noon to 5 p.m. And at 3:15 p.m., there'll be a visit from St. Nicholas, a dramatic reading of the poem by that name. And it takes place at 54 East Ridgewood Avenue, the Bank of America building. This is part of the ongoing series of artistic presentations by the Ridgewood Arts Council, the president of which is now Dottie Fucito, who has taken over for Tony Damiano. And at some point, we'd like to officially thank Tony for his work in kicking off the Arts Council. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Tom?
Nothing new.
Go ahead.
Nothing.
Oh, wow. Check this out. Okay, so I got a real quick one. Planning board. We met last night. It was the first hearing on the high-density multifamily housing. It was a long meeting, almost as long as this one. So it was the first meeting. They had an introduction from Blaise Branchow, our village planner, and just sort of what the issue is. He sort of laid out the draft amendment to the master plan. And the next meeting is going to be January 7th on that issue, at which time we're going to finish the introductory comments from lawyers, hear some public comment, and begin the discussion with planners. The next meeting of the planning board, however, is December 17th. They're going to take up the issue that we kicked to them, the redevelopment zone on North Walnut and Franklin. They're going to start looking at that to see whether or not it needs to change and updated. And the Valley hearing has been postponed until January 29th and 30th. Those are the next 2 meetings on that. So a lot of work for the planning board. Soon they'll be looking at trees.
That's right.
That's right. So with that, let's go back to comments from the public. Questions, comments? Started off with a word of praise, maybe. Welcome.
Mike Seaton, 319 Franklin Turnpike. I just had a question about the police rifles. What kind of rifles are they getting?
I don't have that information. I can get it. I'll make it available to you.
I would just suggest also to, maybe ask them if there's some sort of reasoning why they have to replace them. Maybe they're old or something, because, guns don't usually go bad. I was just, this past weekend, I was just firing a 8mm World War I Mauser I have from 1917, and it works perfect.
Do you want to sell it to us? No, I'm kidding.
It's not really worth that much. But
per the deputy mayor's, I think we're going to have the chief or somebody come in and sort of explain the situation to us. So,
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions, comments? Good evening.
Good evening. Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Well, we heard a presentation tonight from the RIC people who are going to be building or want to build next to the water treatment plant in Glen Rock. However, there was no update from Mr. Pucciarelli regarding the garage situation. An article appeared in the Glen Rock Gazette. The article was republished in the Ridgewood News that suggests, and newspaper articles can be wrong, it suggests that we have heard back from the initial feasibility study that the council has that information, and that another $60,000 is going to be appropriated for the next study. Again, I know that sometimes newspaper articles are wrong.
Right.
I'm hoping it is, because I'm very surprised that this was not discussed in public session if we're going to be spending another $60,000. So I wonder if we could have an update at this time.
I'm glad you raised it. First of all, the article is wrong. The mayor of Glen Rock asked me the same questions. We approved $60,000. No, you'll recall that the original bid, which was approved, was $5,200, give or take, to be split by the two villages. It was part of a bid proposal that came to, I believe, $58,000 for subsequent tasks if we decide to go down that road and use that service provider. I think I have to assume that's where the $60,000 number came from. But we have not committed beyond the initial 2,000, half of whatever that number was, 5,200. Secondly, the reason I didn't report any progress is I was somewhat disappointed to learn tonight that the feasibility study or Conklin Associates, I was hoping we'd have their report by December 15th, but there's, due to some confusion apparently, they have not started work because they haven't received the authorization from the village to do so. So just tonight I learned about that, and I don't know what bureaucratic piece is missing from the puzzle, but we have to figure out why they haven't started their work. So we don't have the feasibility study results. To the contrary, they haven't begun it.
So the newspaper was wrong on 2 counts.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Mr. Eisen.
Oh, careful.
Don't run.
Good evening.
Glenn Eisen, 762 Upper Boulevard. This is about garbage. Our family, what we do, we have the craft bag in which we put our trash, and that bag is put inside of a plastic bag because, for 2 reasons. Number one, sometimes there's leakage. You have liquids that are in the bag, and the paper that deteriorates, and then it leaks out. The reason we like the plastic bag, in addition, is that it has handles at the top, so you can tie it, make a knot, and it's secure. So when it's handled by the garbage pickup person, nothing comes out. That's my addition to the comments earlier this evening. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Eisen. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? No. All right. Resolution to go into closed session, please.
Be resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on December 4th, 2013 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter on the agenda can be reached, and that said closed session be held in the caucus room on the 4th floor of the Ridgewood Village Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey. And be it further resolved that the matters to be discussed in closed session are limited to personnel matters to include the Finance and Village Manager's Office, legal matters to include the Councilman's request for reimbursement of legal bills, contract negotiations to include RIC, Glen Rock. These matters are allowable under NJSA 10:4-12 et sec. And be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. Anyone opposed?
Well, let me think about it. Good night, everybody. Thank you.